guess this is August 12th, 2020. There's a lot going on in the world today. And the other day we wanted to deal with the issue of black gangs, black men, and because there's a historical repetition and a historical reality that's going on. In fact, I just saw an advertisement for a new movie that's coming out. It's about Fred Hampton. Did anybody see that advertisement?
I haven't seen the whole thing, but I knew the movie was
The movie was coming out by Fred Hampton. And okay, I just happened to. Now, that brings a lot of things. It has a little trailer, maybe a minute or so. And there's always a part about the white man sliding the snitch the money. Now, we know that the snitch, I think, was O'Neill or somebody like that. $300 again?
right.
$300. And now, we always talk about what boss man gonna do. Now, imagine if O'Neill have children, by now he might have grandchildren. If he does. He definitely probably has some relatives. They'll have to watch him that he, out of the great figures during that period, the first one and the biggest one that was forming a unity between poor white and black people was Fred Hampton.
Yeah.
Well, now, people are not going to picture him like that because all they hear is the black talk, and they can't probably picture him as a visionary like that. They would say during those black days, hey, we're all in this together, you know. And they sit there like, yeah, I saw a couple of the meetings that they had. And
When you hear what the police was doing to them, it was just as bad as they was doing to black. I mean, it was crazy.
okay, that's why I wanted to talk about a few things the other day. To position us, because we talk about where we are, and we probably, to a lot of people, we might be wearing out their ability, their listening ability. You know, that we're here, we're this, and we're that, but we're more than what we're saying. You know what I mean? Because we got farther than all of our people. We have a longer period. And I was thinking about a few statements. I mention them from time to time, but in 1971, I was telling you I was when I first went to Algeria, and I saw the Japanese, because they have some oil in that, and Japan is the island, needs oil, so anyway. And they had that look, and I looked at them, and I said, man, these guys is whooping the white man up close. And this is 1971. It hadn't jailed on any American. Unless they travel outside, they wouldn't realize the power of America's reach and its companies, you know. So when I got to Black Africa, I was telling the brothers, maybe in August or something like that, 71, I said, yeah. Because I remember we were standing by, I think it was kind of a green Toyota Land Cruiser It was taking the place of the Land Rover, but it hadn't yet. It was just a squeaky. Yeah, at least this one squeaked. Now I tell them, no, the Japanese, they was probably looking at me like, this is a good brother, he doing a lot of things, but I am not sure what does Japanese have to do with anything, you know. So I also remember there's a place up near Kilimanjaro where Pete lived, up near Mount Meru. Now that's good weather up there because it's nice and cool, and because it's 14,000 feet up. And in the tropics, or something like that, in the tropic, to be 38 miles from Kilimanjaro, it has to be up high. And they do coffee up there and all of that, you know, the clouds of the mountains and all of that. So, there's a place called Usa River, USA River. That's the name of the Usa River, and that's the way they spell it. Then that reminded me of the Japanese, that they had a place called Usa, Japan. And they used to, instead of made in Japan, when you were younger, it was still just growing away from that. Made in Japan meant not too good a quality. Later on, it meant quality. But in those days, made in Japan, coming out of the 50s, the Japanese jumped on transistor radios. That's what they did. You know, remember them big old tubes? Did some cars still have tubes in their radio? No, you probably didn't.
No, I don't think so.
No, big vacuum tubes. I mean, like, yeah, I can't even explain one. A tube is, you know, you put it in the radio and it picks up stuff, and then there's different size tubes. That's why radio was big in those days.
I mean, I've seen them.
You've seen them?
In the cars. I haven't seen them in the cars.
You've seen them in the house?
In the house.
Yeah, or tube, but radio, okay. In those days, everything had tubes. The picture tube, that big picture tube. Now it's a flat screen, and in those days you had a big tube. Well, up till a few years ago, the thing is that big, you know. Anyway, so it used to be funny because the Japanese would have on their stuff made in USA. You know, made in USA, Japan. But it's made in USA. You know, so anyway, I was thinking about that. The other thing is, I was given the talk, this is kind of on the place, it was at the University of, by the 1978, it was at the University of Medellin. It was in the afternoon, and you know, like I used to live there for a little while, during the, not wandering in the wilderness, because the mind was focused wandering. So I was talking to the guys in broken Spanish, you know, I mean, like, you know, and then one of them spoke English, but I was telling them, no, Japón, you know, Japan. And I was telling them about the fall of America. And I was saying in Alemania, Japón, fábricas son nuevos, they're new. Factories in Japan and Germany are new. Fábricas en Estados Unidos son viejos. Well, from World War II all the way, they're old.
In the United States.
Yeah, the factories in the United States are old.
Right.
This is just true.
Right.
This was just so. The cars made in Europe, some family, they were 7, 8, they were still big cars in the United States. Big planned obsolescence cars. Remember, they made cars that last 2 years, then they would just fall apart. Because when I was buying all of my cars, up until 1970, the cars had 50,000 miles or 5-year warranty on the movable part, transmission and all that. In 1970, they changed to 1 year and 12,000 miles. The cars were gas guzzlers. But the cars made in Japan, the cars made in Britain, European cars, since they paid so much for gasoline, they made good cars and they made fuel-efficient cars. You can remember the day when you was younger, though. It was Buicks, Oldsmobiles, and everything up and down the street. Now there's almost none. It was a changeover from Japan, Europe, right? Because America cut its own throat. You know, since they controlled the auto market, you know, they were still on a World War II road. You know, after they didn't rebuild this, the whole world is only 20 years, 25 years after the war. But everybody else is getting up now. And they're getting up good. Because Japan did like China. Japan copied everything America. In other words, China copied Japan. Just like Vietnam and all of them's copying China. They copied everything that they made in the U.S. First it was cheap, and then it got better. By 1980, Japan had knocked over. Remember all the fear of Japan? Just like the fear of China now, it was Japan then. So the point is that I was giving these guys a talk on the university in 1978 about the subject. And it all came true. And I remember, and anybody want to check, they can talk with Boss Man somewhere. He didn't kept all these notes. You know, he didn't probably kept these notes because I know I wasn't talking to just students at University Libre. I mean, yeah, 2 or 3 of them, but I was talking to Boss Man. Then, when Reagan became president, I gave a talk at University of California in Sacramento. And I told them, first I told them, I'm talking to Iranian, I'm talking to the student body, but I was invited either by African Americans or Iranians. So I'm telling them no. I said, Ronald Reagan, this was 81. Because he just got, he had just got inaugurated, so it's maybe could have been January, February, something like that. Right at, because it's fresh on everybody's mind. So I said, no, Reagan gonna take y'all back to the 50s, you know, and Reagan gonna do certain other things. I said, because we saw what they did with the so-called hostages and spies. We said, no, Reagan, look at here, here's what he's gonna do. I said, number one, the U.S. gonna faint at y'all, talking about Iranians. He's gonna faint, and if you don't move properly, he's gonna faint again, and if you don't move properly, then he's gonna hit you. Bam! This is what I'm telling you. You know, just faint, just to see where you are. And that's what they did. They did it back over and over and over, because they never responded properly. I'd have to be there to tell them this is what he's doing. But on their own, they wouldn't, they thought they understood America, but they didn't know Boss Man in detail. So then I said, next thing is, I said, Boss Man gonna take y'all back to the 50s. Look at school days, look at the haircuts and everything in the 1980s. Bold haircuts, except exaggerated. The Negro got the hair sticking way up, but around here it's just, right? But they bold, that's what, remember when we was, well, by that time y'all didn't do it, but they would stick a bowl around our head, right? And cut our hair, that's all that is. It was a bowl hair, that's what they had. It took everything. The white boys, instead of them long hippie hair, they started crew cuts, you know what I mean? He took them back, okay? So, everything that we've been, do y'all remember this guy right here? Okay, you remember the guys that came here, let's say at least a year ago, and they was measuring the Masjid. Remember all them guys? Oh, they was ready. You would think they was outside with the truck ready to fix it. Right? So, I mean, it's just one thing. There's stuff like this all the time. You know. So, the point is that people think they do anything they want in relation to us. You know what I mean? And it don't like, no big deal. By the way, I got these right here. They say me too, but in the corner they have Forestville Auto. Or Forest Auto. So y'all can take one, I'll leave a couple. But what I'm gonna do with that is, now I'll get into the talk of forecasting. Because that's what the title is today, about forecasting. Like we were saying, we're getting back into a regular work schedule. And for me, it's gonna be an all-day work and rest program. And I wanted to wait a few days till I was doing it, so I'm already into it now. This is my third day. So I'm into, getting my little regular workout, or sufficient workout, and then do a little work, then rest, then get up and do more work, So that means that my job description will be that type of a pattern. So no matter what happens, we're going to get a lot of things done. Now there are certain things that I'm not going to do right now. For instance, the cars, they're going to sit there, all of them, like that van back there. I'm going to put the license plates on it for them. That's a good van. If one of y'all want to drop another one of these down at Forest Auto, it's fine, because we about to put one down there with them a month ago. But we just give one more, warning or what have you. Then after that, we're going to pass them out to wherever we feel like passing out, and it ain't no big hurry. But I said that I had certain demands. You can't take a car that just needs a little screw and say it needs $400 and some worth, and you pay it anyway. And then you drive it right back here and it stops right there. You just can't do it. They feel like they can do it because that's what they do. And that's what it's fixed for. All the rest of the cars, forget about the ones in the past. Some they just do this, that, and the other. And then I remember a couple of cars, so if anybody want a nice, good car, they could go down and get it. It's just there. They'd probably pay $50 or $20. You get the car, I'll give you the stuff. Okay. That was for that time. Now, those cars, of course y'all rode in the car and drives, and then you probably rode in it when he drove it all the way from over, one of them from over, you know, what's the name to do the cars? He brought the little white car over.
From, when it broke down?
No, when we first,
Oh, yeah, from Baltimore, out.
yeah, that was in the winter because it was snowing. I was gonna drive back to California, but all this stuff started happening.
Right.
So I postponed it. But we drove all around in that car till you could tell how it drives nice and sturdy. There's nothing probably gonna happen to it. And if it did, it wouldn't be nothing. It'd be, you know, something you just have to, but there's nothing mechanical. There's nothing knocking or shaking. You know, it's a sturdy, you could tell. It's a sturdy, nice little car. Ready to go to California. Okay. If I drive it out there and then it starts acting up, and it has the same acting up that the other ones do, then it's just a Volvo disease. So they just be out there. If somebody want to get them fixed, I get them the key, and they can tow it and take some. They can do anything they want. I'm not going to do nothing. I'm going to just let them sit there until I feel like, you know, but they're going to be sitting there. I'm not doing nothing to them. I may not even do nothing to the truck. Truck's running good, but I don't run it long because the freeze plug came out. Now, I don't know, they was here a few while. They might have tightened it up. But anyway, all that junk, somebody want to move it, they can move it. But the point is that it's ridiculous, basically ridiculous. It's just open buffoonery. You know what I mean? It's like, it's open buffoonery. As you can see, it don't have no effect. And we talk about it, and we use it as a point of focus. That someone is paying full attention to us all the time. And not sometime, and that's a teaching exercise. That's why I use it as a teaching exercise. Because if I talk about roofs, I can talk about all the roofs, right? I could talk about housing. Even in here, there's a leak over here on this roof one time.